Hi there, these comments are for AA, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT, and I'm in the middle of reading your integrated writing practice test number 1. So here we go. The reading and the listening passage. I'm going to say here, give you a better verb here, discuss what, and I think here you want to make this singular, what makes businesses succeed. They both claim what makes I'm going to change this so you're not repeating exactly the same thing. How businesses can be successful, but I would say here, but from two different directions. So both the reading and the listening talk about business success from their points of view regarding meetings, how about meeting attendance, let's just say meeting attendance, reading materials, and writing documents. Okay, so but overall though, your introduction is pretty good. You're exactly expressing the connection, I think, between the reading and the listening passage, which is what you're supposed to do with the writing at this point. See, first of all, the reading passage claims that attending, you don't want to say to, just say attending meetings are very important. If you say the more plus that using superlative there, I don't think you want to say that. You have too many thes in there. You can say how about more company meetings will reflect positively on the business. But why is that? So what is the effect, according to the reading, between attending meetings and then having a good business, right? So I think you should have said, let's go to the reading passage here. What could you say to be a little more specific, I think, in this idea? So meetings are effective for discussing controversial issues, making sure everyone is up to date with current technology needed to complete their jobs. I'm not saying you have to discuss both of these points, but you should have said something. Either discussing issues or keeping up to date with current technology. I think it would have been better had you mentioned at least one of those ideas. Say, on the other hand, and good transition word, the listening passage claims the opposite. Once you say that it's on the other hand, you don't even need to say the opposite. You can just go right into the sentence. On the other hand, the listening passage claims that employees should avoid attending as many meetings as possible. And if they have to, they should attend only the first 60 minutes. Yes, but what else does it say there? So you probably need to be a little more complete. So let's go again. So let's see what it says. I think it says something about email and phone calls. Am I right? So I think if you say something like this, you can deal with most issues through email or phone calls. Right? I think you should probably mention that. So I think you're leaving out some ideas, but you still have the main points of what you're writing about, but you're not exactly explaining everything. Okay, second of all, the reading passage claims that employees should read all the materials. And I would say again, you probably need to develop that just a little bit more. So why should they read all the materials according to the reading passage? What does it say? It will help them perform their jobs more effectively. So I think this idea here, I think, should have been mentioned. So if you go back to what you say, you might say something like, the reading passage claims that employees, in order to more effectively complete their job tasks, should read all the materials. Now, because you used on the other hand before, you want to demonstrate you have pretty good mastery of transition words. So then this time, you can say in contrast, the listening passage claims, again, the opposite. You don't really need to say that. You can simply go to, it claims that employees should read the materials quickly without going, I would say here a better word, without going through all the details, because that takes a lot of time. And I'm going to put this in there too. Conversely, the listening passage claims that you want to say here, that's what you're trying to say, not spiriting. Your computer changed it to a word that you don't want here, so be careful. If you have a misspelling, I don't see that as a major problem, right? But if you use the word spiriting instead of separating, to me that's a problem. That's hurting the meaning of your ideas. Now I know what you're trying to say, but still that's a completely different word with a completely different meaning. So if you just put here, if you just put separating here, you didn't put the G in there, you got a minor misspelling problem. To me that's not a major problem in the writing. The meaning is still there. So be really careful with your spell check. Make sure that you're not changing words to completely different meanings. That's the important thing. So conversely, listening passage claims separating the writing process is better and more effective. You have to change this to here. So here's, I notice part of what you're having problems with here. You're good at stating part of the main point, but when there's a important supporting point with it, in this case, why the process should be separated, you're not good at that. So you're not getting 100%, I think, of both the main and the major supporting details. So again, if we go back here, let's take a look at why. So it says here, it says, it's better to separate the steps in the writing process. It's actually arguing here that it's more efficient. It says a better approach separates the main steps. So here's what you want to mention. The lecture suggests here composing an outline, writing a rough draft, going over the work, and then doing a revision, and then doing some rephrasing. I think if you said that, that's going to be a little bit better in terms of explaining, I think, the most important points there. So I think we got it. So now I have read your entire essay. Now the question is, what is your score? So we need to go directly to the rubrics, and you're in pretty good shape. I don't think you'll get in the 4 range on this one. You're going to score in the 3. I'm going to put you at about 3.5 out of 5, or 22 points out of 30 on this particular writing assignment. If you look at the rubrics here, if you go to page 9 in the syllabus, I gave you this score here, which means in grade, I'm writing down the score of 82. You see that? So let's go back here. So here you have, even though your response is connected to the writing task, it communicates only unclear, global, even imprecise connections. So sometimes some of what you're saying is a little bit too broad and not specific enough. So I think this idea kind of describes some of what you're doing in the writing right now. Alright, so what I would say for you is be a little bit more precise as you're doing summaries and as you paraphrase other people's ideas. Be a little more precise in how you explain those ideas. Okay, anyway, thank you for completing the writing assignment. I look forward to reading your next essay. So the listening passage claims employees should read all the materials quickly without going through all the details, because that takes a lot of time. So probably you could say a little bit more here too. So let's see what else the listening passage says. What is the suggestion the listening passage gives? So it's saying, make it a point to search for what's important while skipping the sections that are less relevant. So if you go back to what you're saying here, if you wanted to complete this idea, you can say the listening passage claims that employees should read materials quickly without going through all the details, because that takes a lot of time. You might say, in other words, they should focus on the main points, what is needed for them to complete their jobs, and not focus on the minor details or something. Okay, here's your last paragraph. Third of all, the reading passage claims that when the employee writes a document, good grammar here. Wow, nice. You have a clause embedded within a clause. My goodness. So the reading passage claims that when the employee writes a document, but if you say the employee here, which is singular, but then this is plural, probably shouldn't do it that way. So, but if you want to make this plural, when employees, how about this, write documents, then you have they, then change this to them, without following, I would put here. So I think we got it. Now, plural, 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 plural. Okay, so let's keep going. So the last paragraph, the reading passage claims that when employees write documents, they should write them all at once without following all the steps. Now again, we already used here, let's see, want to again demonstrate that we have a range of vocabulary, and there are many different kinds of transition words that we can use. So we have, on the other hand, we have in contrast. How about this one? You ever use this word? Conversely. The listening passage claims